everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to talk about IP addresses, domain names, and domain name system. At the end, I'm also going to talk about a form of attack on servers that is called DDoS attacks. So first let's understand what IP addresses are. IP addresses are 4 or 6 part hexadecimal values that are used to identify different computers and other devices. The 4 part one is the older version called IPv4, and the 6 part one, which is much longer, is called IPv6. All websites that we visit have an IP address, but what we actually enter into the browser is, for example, if we take the case of youtube.com, we enter youtube.com, but that is not the IP address, is it? It's actually the domain name. So domain names are human readable names that are given to websites. But a problem arises where the browsers do not know what domain names actually are, because browsers only understand IP addresses. So now there's a gap between IP addresses and domain names. Now the DNS is what bridges the gap between both of this. DNS stands for domain name system, and domain name systems are what translate domain names into IP addresses. So what domain name systems actually do is they convert domain names into IP addresses. So let's understand what actually happens. When we enter, for example, youtube.com, there are a lot of things that happen after we press enter and the load page loads. All of this happens in a few seconds, which is really crazy. So let's understand what happens. We enter youtube.com, and the first thing that the browser does is it checks its cache to find out if it already has the location for youtube.com stored in its cache. If it doesn't have that, it then asks the operating system if it has the location for youtube.com. If the operating system also does not have the location, it then calls up the resolver. Now the resolver is what does most of the heavy lifting in this process from this point onwards. The resolver is usually our internet service provider, and the first thing that the resolver does is it again checks its cache. And let's consider that the location is also not found in the resolver's cache. Now the cache goes to the root server. All resolvers know the location of the root server, and the root server stores the location of top level domains. So the resolver goes to the root server and asks for youtube.com, but the root server does not know the location of youtube.com, but it knows the location of the top level domain .com. Top level domains are what we see at the end of the links, for example .com, .edu, .in. There are many types of top level domains. In our case, the top level domain is .com. So the root server tells the resolver about the .com top level domain. Now the resolver goes to the top level domain and asks for youtube.com. Again, the top level domain does not know where youtube.com is. It knows the name servers that are assigned for youtube.com. For each website there might be multiple named servers. This is done so that they can control more, they can handle more traffic, and also they can still work if one of the names do not work. So now the resolver gets the named address of the youtube.com, and it goes to that and asks, and it receives the IP address of youtube.com. Now this is all of the process that happens in between us typing youtube.com and the page actually loading. All of this happens in a few seconds which is really amazing. One thing we have to note is the hierarchy of things. First, there is the root server. The root server then knows about the top level domains locations, and the top level domains know about their subdomains. In our case, there's the root server, and the top level domain was .com, and the subdomain was youtube.com, and there is also the named servers in between. That's all of the stuff about IP addresses, DNS, and domain names. Now let's talk a bit about DDoS attacks. DDoS stands for distributed denial of service, and this is a form of attack that is done on servers. What happens is there is a server, and for example it is selling something online, and it is accessed by clients. Now during a DDoS attack, an attacker comes in and sends fake traffic through the website, through the server, so that actual users do not get to use the website because of all of the traffic that is coming through the attacker. Now since there's only just one attacker doing the attack, it is not actually DDoS, it's just DOS. It is denial of service. It becomes DDoS when there are multiple attackers involved. So then it becomes distributed denial of service. How this actually happens is there is the ringleader, or the one that is actually doing or orchestrating the attack, that has other computers that are connected to do this DDoS attack. This is usually done through methods using computers that are used by normal people who don't know that their computer is being used for stuff like this. So what happens is this is usually done through emails or phishing mails, and some kind of virus is installed into the user's computer, and then this attacker gets access to their computer to perform the DDoS attacks. So there might be hundreds or even thousands of systems that are involved in a DDoS attack. So then what happens is the real users do not get to actually use the website, because the website cannot handle all of the traffic that is coming into the website. This can be done for many reasons by the attacker. For example, the attacker might be doing this for monetary gains. The attacker might be a competitor and wants to take down the website of the competitor, or maybe it's because the attacker does not agree with the beliefs of the website owners, or it might just be for fun. So all of this is what I have to talk about today. Thank you.